Next question comes from Dr. Lore on YouTube. How bad would it be if you got not only a live yeast into the new wort, but a good amount of dead? So this was a question that came off of a video I did on cell counting. If you are not familiar, hit the playlist tab over on the YouTube channel, and you will find a full range of tutorials, brewery walkthroughs, different things like that. Check it out. Check it out. So that this question comes from that. And so really what we're talking about here is we're talking about the impact of yeast viability. What is the impact of having low viability yeast? So like he says, you have some good yeast getting in, but also a good amount of dead yeast. The first thing is that you're essentially just underpitching the beer, okay? Or you're running that risk, right? So if you're saying, okay, I have 100 cells, and this is just my dummy math, right? I have 100 cells of yeast that needs to ferment this beer, but half of them are dead. So you're underpitching by half. If that was your goal of having 100 healthy, viable cells ready to roll in and go to battle, okay? So the first thing is you could be underpitching. So what you could find is that you will still get a finished beer, but because you're sending in less yeast cells, they have to multiply more in order to create enough yeast cells to appropriately ferment out the beer or to ferment out the beer. But you might be getting extra ester formation because your ester formation is being driven by reproduction or as an offshoot of cellular reproduction. You could have potentially some more aggressive things happening in that way. You could have some higher alcohols, potentially some fusel, some unpleasant, like hotter alcohols expressing. That's very possible as well. You could also have stalled fermentations, right? A fermentation that does not go down all the way to where you expect it to go. You could end up, because you just have a bunch of dead cells in there along with, even if you get complete fermentation, you also have those cells chilling out in an area, in an environment which is still toxic to them. And so that's where you can see pHs creeping up, when you can see the dead yeast flavors. The only thing in my head right now is diacetyl, and that's not it. Autolysis. You can see that popping up. Burnt rubber, hair, burnt hair type things popping up in a beer. That can be a yeast thing like that. I mean, that's the main thing that we're talking about there. You might also be running the risk of developing petite mutants or small funky yeasts that aren't necessarily going to be doing what you want them to be doing in your fermentation. You do want to be able to make sure that you are getting healthy cells. I would recommend that if you know or if you find out or whatever that you have a pitch in there, but you have low viability, I would make sure maybe at 12, 24, 36 hours, do a little bit of cone shaving on that tank, because that dead stuff will be at the bottom, and you should try to be able to knock that stuff out. It might be a good way of increasing the viability by kind of self-selecting that stuff out of your fermenter. Dr. Lore, I appreciate the question. Good luck in your medical practice. I don't think that was funny. Yeah, Andrew mentioned, he said, I underpitched Ringwood into a porter and got a great blueberry porter. Haven't tried to do that on purpose yet. It is, first of all, Ringwood's a wild yeast in and of itself. That's known for being an interesting yeast in and of itself. So yeah, it can do some funky things. That one's a little bit known for diacetyl.